Hi, I'm Linda.
And I'm Michelle, and we both work with the Better Beginnings team at the State Library of Western Australia.
The Better Beginnings program supports families to develop their children's early literacy skills.
We're here to show you how to plan and present a quality story time and rhyme time program that you can implement at your library. Prior to joining the State Library of Western Australia, I was a primary school teacher and a youth services librarian at a public library for almost 10 years.
I've worked in public libraries for more than 25 years. Almost all of that time has been as a young people services librarian.
Studies have shown that 75% of brain development occurs in the first 3 years of life. The experiences young children have in those early years are critical to supporting the amazing amount of learning they need to do in the first years of life. And the public library has a real role to play to enrich the literacy skills of the youngest members of their community.
We want children to have a fun and positive experience every time they come to the public library, but it's parents who are the real target of these programs.
Even if you have a family that is really committed to attending your library programs such as Rhyme Time and Story Time, attending those sessions once a week is not really going to be enough to get that child ready to read and write when they start school.
It's parents who continue the home literacy practices that we show at Rhyme Time and Story Time. So it's important that programs for young children are well planned and well presented so that families get as many ideas to immerse their children in early literacy practices as possible.
There was an old sailor who swallowed a ray. Oh, what a day when he swallowed the ray. He swallowed the ray to catch the squid.
At Storytime, we want to model story reading to families using the best examples of children's stories that we can find. Selecting themes and books for Storytime well in advance of the session makes it easier to select titles and source copies of great Storytime books.
Many Storytime programs are planned around a series of weekly themes, so setting up an annual calendar and highlighting events which are relevant to your community and planning your themes around those is a great way to get started with your Storytime planning. Special weeks, days and cultural celebrations such as Children's Book Week, Library and Information Week, Mother's Day, Father's Day, NAIDOC Week, Harmony Week, Easter and Christmas may give you themes that you can plan around. Authors' birthdays and anniversaries of publications of notable titles are also a good starting point.
Look to your own local community's celebrations and events, such as local festivals, for inspiration for a special story time. When selecting for story time, we need to choose books with large, colourful, clear illustrations that the whole audience can see.
We're also looking for books that an audience of 2 and 3-year-olds can sit through. So a good guideline is about 1 to 5 lines of text per page.
One dashing dingo. Where is he going?
When selecting books for story time, we need to choose books that have large, clear illustrations that an audience can see.
All the way down to a very little wombat. And it looks like they're going to their burrow.
Look at the quality of the language the author has chosen. By selecting books for story time with playful language and some unusual words, we are modelling one of the most important ways of extending a child's vocabulary. Look for books that invite the audience to participate in the story, such as books that have a repeating refrain, a rhythm to clap out, or a story that can be sung, are fun to use at story time. Try to choose books that are in good physical condition. Books in poor condition are not a great advertisement for your collection.
Consider the mix of books that you are using during one Storytime session. You might want to consider the pace and tone of your session and change this by choosing a noisy book, a thoughtful book, and possibly a book with longer or shorter text.
But the most important thing is that you love the books that you choose. There are so many beautiful books out there that it is certain that you will find some that you will love to read at story time.
It is important to develop a structure to your story time, and this can be achieved by using a story time plan. One that we use can be found on the Better Beginnings website, and this is a great place to start.
We recommend you use the same opening rhyme or song at every storytime session. This is a signal to both parents and children that story time is about to begin and helps develop a ritual that will come to be expected by your audience. At the State Library, we use Open Shut Them, but there are many rhymes and songs which are suitable, so look for one that works for you.
You should be aiming for your storytime presentation to go for approximately 25 to 30 minutes, and that's not including a craft activity. To achieve this length of time, we suggest reading 3 stories, broken up with a series of songs and rhymes. To keep young children engaged for this period of time, we suggest placing your longest story in the middle and following this up with an action rhyme.
Children of this age are very mobile and able to engage in rhymes that get them up on their feet. Placing an action rhyme before your last story can help them get the wriggles out so they can sit for the final story. Good examples of action rhymes are The Wheels on the Bus, I'm a Little Teapot, or Heads, Shoulders, Knees and Toes.
If you've planned your story time around a theme, your other transitions will include songs, rhymes or puppets, which support this or link the stories together. When making your song or rhyme selections, try and have some variety. Some rhymes which are really well known to the group and some which have been introduced for the first time. Repetition is really important because what we're really aiming for is for parents to be able to take these rhymes home and do them independently with their child.
As with the opening rhyme, we suggest using the same closing song or rhyme at the end of every storytime session. This establishes a ritual that lets families know that the session is finishing. At the State Library, we finish our sessions by singing If You're Happy and You Know It.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
So why do we encourage the use of a storytime plan and what are the benefits of using one? Firstly, it provides flexibility with presenters and allows someone to step in at the last minute if the regular presenter is unexpectedly absent. Another benefit to having a plan is that it ensures a smoother presentation as it allows you to focus on your performance rather than on the order of events and takes away that on-the-spot planning. Finally, finding some way to effectively file and store your plans also means that they can be appropriately retrieved and aspects possibly repeated after a suitable period of time has passed. In essence, it stops you reinventing the wheel.
Some libraries will choose to offer a craft activity after the storytime presentation and other libraries won't. Our preference, if you are given the choice, is that you do offer a craft activity because it helps extend that experience into the home environment. The most important thing to remember when you're planning your craft activity is that you want to focus on the process involved rather than what the final product is going to be. You can encourage this by having children complete the colouring and cutting themselves. Do not have the items pre-cut. Scissor skills are an important school readiness skill. Another way of encouraging this is to not go all the way when modelling your own craft. For example, do not complete the colouring, as some children and parents will copy exactly what you do, and this limits their own imagination. Another suggestion is to remind the parents and children that the craft does not have to be made up the way we designed it. If a child wants to sit and snip, that is perfectly fine. They will be improving their fine motor skills. The best types of crafts to offer are ones which will extend the storytime experience into the home environment. Props such as handmade puppets will enable a child to retell a song or a story that they've heard during a storytime session.
Consider providing the words to a song or rhyme that you've used at storytime so that parents can continue to sing or say the rhyme at home.
Now that you have chosen your books and planned your lesson, it's time to get ready for the actual presentation. Arriving early to set up your area is a good idea. Consider the space and resources that you have available and use this knowledge to determine the best layout. Will you use mats, cushions or a rug to define a seating plan? A good idea is to back yourself into a corner and have the parents and children fan out in an arc in front of you. This sort of arrangement means that latecomers can enter from the rear without causing a distraction. Cast an appraising eye over the area where you're going to be conducting your storytime session and remove anything which may cause a distraction. Things like puppets, blocks and puzzles all fall into this category.
Make sure you're personally organised with all your storytime resources. Do you need an easel or a small table for your resources? Are new books on display which can be promoted? Do you have brochures of any upcoming events that you can promote? Do you have any spare Better Beginnings bags to hand out to clients if they have not yet received one? Make sure your rhymes and books are all in presentation order and your storytime plan is on your lap. Now you're ready to begin.
Introduce yourself and welcome everyone to the session.
Welcome to the place and welcome to Storytime. My name is Linda.
And my name is Michelle. You need to speak clearly and loudly enough so that the group can hear you. It's important also to go over any housekeeping items that you may have before you launch into your opening song. Try and vary the volume, pitch and pace of your voice to suit the song or story that you're sharing, and try and provide pauses to help build drama.
"Have you a place for me?" said the sheep. "Oh yes, but don't keep bleating. This boat's getting very, very full."
It is essential to read the books before you start the session. That gives you a chance to identify where those pauses should be. It also lets you find repeatable refrains that you can encourage the children to join in with.
Such as, "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in."
Or, brown bear, what do you see?"
As picture books rely on the illustrations equally as much as the text to tell the story, it is important that you are holding the book so that the audience can easily see it. Make sure your hand doesn't cover up any of the illustrations and move the book slowly from one side of the group to the other so that everyone has the opportunity to see each page. Try and balance your eye contact between the book and the audience as you are reading. Your facial expressions and your tone of voice will bring the book to life.
Sometimes things just don't go the way you intend. A rowdy crowd or a rainy day may disrupt the flow of your story time. Rhymes are a great way to refocus the group, and it's okay to leave a story out if you know they're just not going to sit still for it. If a child is jumping up and blocking the view of other children, it's okay to tell them to sit back down on their bottoms.
Remember though that gentle encouragement will always work better than strict enforcement. Try and keep the flow of your storytime session moving along to avoid a restless audience. And above all, have fun. If you're engaged with the story and the audience, they're more likely to be engaged with you and the book.
A smooth road to London town, a smooth road to London town. The road goes up and the road goes down, a smooth road to London town. But by and by we come to a dell, and there the roads are not so swell. A rough road, a rough road, a rough road to London town.
Lots of you, looks like you got a very fun ride then.
Rhyme time in many libraries is aimed at a target audience of 0 to 2 years, but that's something that you can decide on based on your own knowledge of your community. Our ideal length for a rhyme time session is 25 to 30 minutes. Any less than 20 minutes doesn't give your parents a decent session length as a reward for the hard work to get very small children to the library.
Repetition of rhymes, songs and stories is very important for language development in young children and helps parents and presenters to learn new rhymes and songs to say and sing at home. At the State Library, we present the same program of rhymes for at least 12 weeks in a row, with only 4 of those rhymes changing every week. And this is to allow for you to tie in with certain themes or a particular book.
Categorising rhymes and following our suggested session structure will make planning your rhyme time much easier. A master plan of a rhyme time session is available on the Better Beginnings website. Our plan requires 17 rhymes per session, grouped into the following categories: fingers, face, hand rhymes, tickling or peekaboo rhymes, whole body rhymes, bouncing rhymes, and interactive rhymes.
There are many other categories of rhymes that you can choose to use, such as those with musical instruments or those that go well with puppets. We start with rhymes that have the smallest range of movements, fingers or face rhymes, through categories that have increasingly larger movements, until the session peaks with the most energetic bouncing rhymes. Then the selection focuses on moving back down the list to finish on the quieter rhymes. We also read a picture book during rhyme time. At the State Library, we have multiple copies of the same book, which we hand out during the session. This encourages the parents to read along with us. To remind parents and children that we want everyone's attention during the story, we sing a song as we're handing out the books, and it goes like this. If you're ready for a story, go like this. Shh, shh.
Plan your session with brief segues in mind to introduce some of the rhymes and songs. If you need to shorten the session, or if you choose to add in an extra rhyme on the spot, that's okay. Be flexible and suit your audience on the day.
Practice your rhymes before the session. You can practice them to your family or practice them in front of the mirror or maybe on a car ride. If you're going to read a book during your rhyme time session, it's really important that you practice this out loud as well.
Just like story time, it's a good idea to check the space before you start your session. Depending on your space and the numbers you expect, you may want to sit in a circle, or you could place your chair in the corner of the room and face out.
At the State Library, we use a screen to display the words to the rhymes. However, you can easily substitute this with A3 laminated charts, or you may choose not to have the words on display at all so that the parent's full attention is on their own child. However, if you do choose to use charts, make sure the font size is legible, even for people who are sitting up the back of the room.
Some presenters may choose to use a CD player or MP3 device to accompany their singing. We think that one of the charms of rhyme time is the lovely sound of human voices joined in song, and recommend trying an unaccompanied session. This eliminates awkward pauses or technological failures that can interrupt the flow of your sessions. Incorporating puppets can be fun, either to be used just by the presenter or by the whole group. You might like to ask each adult to take a turn with a puppet and make the animal noises for songs like I Went to Visit a Zoo One Day or Old MacDonald Had a Farm.
You can also incorporate musical instruments as part of your session. Encouraging children to tap out a beat is a fantastic way of helping them hear the small sounds inside words. Other types of props that you might choose to use for a rhyme time session include bubbles, parachutes or scarves.
If you do choose to use props in your sessions, keep them out of reach and out of sight until they're needed, and time their appearance towards the end of the session so the props don't become distractions themselves.
Some rhyme time presenters may use a musical instrument to signal the start of the session, or others may just start singing when most of the crowd is gathered. After singing your regular opening song, remind parents of any housekeeping messages you have for them. This can include emergency procedures or safety procedures, such as where to park prams, or other behaviour expectations you have of them, like reminding them about turning off mobile phones or to sing along.
While you're presenting your session, remember to repeat some of your rhymes, especially if the rhymes or songs are new to your group or if the group is really enjoying them. Not all rhymes need to be repeated. We don't recommend repeating long rhymes like Old MacDonald Had a Farm or Five Little Ducks.
Make sure you keep the session moving. If you have long pauses between your songs and rhymes, it's an opportunity for the parents to start chatting, and then you'll have to work really hard to regain their attention once again. While some rhymes or songs that you do will need some instructions, not every rhyme that you do needs an introduction. It's completely fine to launch into an old favourite with no explanation required.
If you forget the words, it doesn't matter. An imperfect session is a good session. It can make parents feel more comfortable about joining in with you and about singing with their children at home. Lots of songs and rhymes have different words or tunes. If you put in a new word or make a new version of the song, that's okay.
If you'd like to know more or are interested in face-to-face training, please visit the Better Beginnings website or contact a staff member on the Better Beginnings team.
Thank you for watching this training video, and good luck with Rhyme Time and Story Time at your library.